is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Okie dokie.
Oh, hello there. Very nice to meet you.
That never fails to crack me up. So nice to meet you. Oh, hello. He used to be the education secretary. Can you believe that?
No.
He used to be our chief of defence. God, we're lucky to be alive. By the way, the government seems to have decided to solve the homelessness crisis by letting all the homeless people die. Problem solved. I'll get into that in a minute. First, some texts and tweets and such from last night. Lynn says, where was Sunak's poppy when he was talking to Musk? Yeah, traitor. That's right.
No!
Josh says, you're forgetting, Nick, that throughout all of this turmoil at number 10, Boris Johnson got all the major calls right.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, we should all leave him alone. He's doing his best. Jim says, what exactly would be the right kind of crisis for Boris Johnson? A cat stuck up a tree? A lost shoelace? Some badly arranged chairs? Would any of these crises have warranted a Cobra meeting serious enough for him to cancel yet another holiday? Amazing. I mean, it's just absolutely staggering, the stuff that we're finding out. It's even worse than we could possibly have imagined. Neil says, would a failing fish company, A, sink without trace, B, flounder, C, disappear hook, line and sinker, or D, make a net loss? Listeners with material.
Oh, no.
Francis says, time will show the new Rolling Stones album is really an AI creation to the order of create an album that sounds like the Rolling Stones 50 years ago. I tell you what, some of it sounds like the Sex Pistols, however long ago that was. How long ago was it? It was about 50 years ago, more or less, about 45 years ago.
Rock and roll!
There's one particular track on there, why to bite me head off? Hello? Like that. I have got to stop going on about that album, but it just goes around. I've never heard an album that goes around as, like my brain is a jukebox. You know, you get earworms. I've got every track as an earworm. And it just, every single track, it just goes around and around in my brain, and it's almost like my brain takes the needle off one track and it puts it on the other. Pete puts the needle on the record and the drum beat goes like this. Bob says, am I the only one who is fed up with this Middle Eastern conflict and especially with all these protests? Uh-oh. He says, I don't have a dog in this fight and nothing anyone does here is going to make any difference to the outcome. I am increasingly inclined to... okay. Yeah, I ain't going to go no further on that one.
Warning.
No, you can't. I don't want to and you can't make me. Lee says it's a shame that there weren't any signs that Boris Johnson might not be the right man for the job before he became Prime Minister. Yeah, if only we knew he was a...
great big greedy nincompoop.
Precisely. If only there was some indication that he was a great big greedy nincompoop, we might not have voted for him in the first place. Leave him alone. God, if I heard that once, I must have heard it 1,000,000 times. And Jenny says, apropos of what we were talking about yesterday, I saw it completely clean. I hadn't read a single story about it. I didn't know anything about this M&S advert. On the M&S advert, Jenny says, I would like to give M&S 10 out of 10 at getting so much free advertising. Everybody is talking about them. Well, the only thing worse than being talked about is fill in the blank. 0345 6060 973. How many more of these from last night have I got? Oh, my God, pages and pages and pages. How do these people get my number? Why can't they just leave me alone? Well, this is one thing I was going to talk about last night. And forgive me, but these two shows I think of as sort of wrapping up the week. So this is not hot news, necessarily, but it's something that we were all pondering and contemplating over during the course of the week. And it's that bizarre sight of Elon Musk and Titchy Suit Size doing that interview together. A little bit of a back and forth. Weird and weirder. Elon Musk was giving Fishy Sunak a job interview as part of Sunak's desperate attempt to try to seem important on the world stage. And the man that took an AI company and drove it off a cliff has set out his vision for AI-led 21st century where nobody will have to work again and citizens will be handed a universal high wage. And at the phrase universal high wage, Rishi Sunak said, universal high wage. What is he talking about? What that will mean in a Tory world is a few of Tishy Suitsiz's friends existing in a walled-off nirvana where no one is sick and the only people who go hungry are those trying to lose weight, and a few of the rest of us working menial jobs for minimum wage, and the rest, the bulk, surviving like animals, eating whatever they can kill and feasting on their dead relatives. It will be beautiful. But Elon Musk warned that humanoid robots could end up chasing owners and threatening humanity. He said it can't be bargained with, it can't be reasoned with, it doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop ever until you are dead.
Correct.
Elon Musk told Fishy Sunak that they probably had the weirdest two names of any two people occupying the same stage in the world at that time. Musk said robots will become the best friend a human could ever have, doing everything for them, remembering every conversation, becoming a magic genie capable of granting limitless wishes to their owners, which should give us all a pause for thought. This man, the richest person who has ever lived, a man that can literally dictate the course of wars, who can switch off whole continents from the internet, and whose products can blot out the sky, is so weird he thinks a robot can be a man's best friend.
Affirmative.
Sat on a stage with the British Prime Minister in London, the world's richest man admitted artificial intelligence would be the most disruptive force in history for jobs, ending the need for humans to have one. And Sunak disagreed with the vision, saying that he believed work gives you meaning. And wow, that is I've only just noticed, but that reminds me of something. Does it remind you of something?
Work will give you freedom.
He actually said that out loud. Wow, now I'm disturbed. Work gives you meaning. That's what he said. And he claimed that artificial intelligence would be a co-pilot for workers. But, you know, as he is a man who does not know how to use a credit card, perhaps he should stick to subjects he knows about, like, he's an expert in not being Boris Johnson.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
I mean, I would say that's a great thing, but it's not. It's just a different sort of bad. I mean, is anybody believing this anymore?
This government will have integrity,
Mr.
professionalism
Speaker.
and accountability.
At every level, yeah, I know. He said, we will have for the first time something that is smarter than the smartest human. This is Elon Musk. He said, there will come a point where no job is needed. You can have a job if you want for personal satisfaction, but the AI can do everything, said Elon Musk. And I have to defer to history on this one. Because every time that something is invented that's supposed to do our work for us, it ends up with us doing more work, being more beholden to our employers, more controlled and earning less for working longer. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the computer and the mobile phone. I mean, they haven't exactly freed up our time, have they?
No.
Elon Musk said one of the challenges in the future will be how do we find meaning in life? Everyone will have access to this magic genie. They can give you any wish you want. There will be no 3-wish limit. You can have as many wishes as you want, he said. No, you won't. Because the wishes will be privatised and will be the exclusive domain of the company, which will dole out wishes in the form of bonuses to its executives and shareholders, and the rest of us will be tasked with rubbing the lamp for pennies, so that we could put sandals on our feet. The billionaire, Elon Musk, who wore all black and with brown cowboy boots, said that he personally cannot wait for AI to do parts of his job at Tesla and SpaceX and X, formerly known as Twitter, that keep him up all night. And his staff are probably wishing the exact same thing, I bet. They can't wait for something, anything else, to be in the office when they are. And you know what? On a point of order, I absolutely refuse to take a lecture from a man in cowboy boots who's not an actual, cowboy. But Elon Musk gave an apocalyptic warning about technology going wrong. and his jobless utopia failing, saying that fairy tales rarely end well, and admitting that there is a threat of Terminator-style robots turning on humanity. He says a robot can basically chase you anywhere. It's something we should be quite concerned about. If a robot can follow you anywhere, what if they get a software update one day and they're not so friendly anymore? We've got a James Cameron movie on our hands. This is a safety concern, he said. At least a car can't chase you into a building or up a tree. No, but it can crash you into a tree, as some unlucky drivers who put their car in autopilot will tell you if they were still alive to do so. But, you know, that's a side issue. We're talking about the demise of the whole human race here. Tishy Suit Size then reportedly replied jokingly, "You're not selling this," before the pair agreed that there was the need for an off switch that can shut down all robots. Well, you know, I know nothing about anything, but it seems to me that at the point of singularity, which is what they call it, which sounds like a very benign thing, doesn't it? Singularity. That sounds lovely, that does. But that is the point at which robots decide that we humans are excess to requirements. Like a virus, you know, like the Matrix. At the point that they become self-aware, it'll be too late, because it'll happen so quick we won't see it coming. You know, if a machine can do billions of calculations a second, then the moment the light goes on in its brain and it sees us for the threat that we are, it'll be all over. We lose. But by then, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and all the other tech nerd bros will be in their heavily fortified compounds in New Zealand, the last to survive. All future humans coming from them, and whichever unfortunate girlfriends they take with them. I say we should blast off and nuke the entire planet from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking. Paul texts, Nick, the COVID inquiry has laid bare that neither the Prime Minister, senior civil servants or not-so-special advisers had a clue how to run the country, and all expected that somebody else must be doing it. That's right. That's right. Ironically, though, he says, they can all arrange a drink in a brewery. An up-all-night business meeting, I think you mean. Yes, I wonder if they've managed to scrape the vomit off the walls yet. Oh, God. Here's a call in beautiful Weybridge. Hello, Seema.
Hello, Nick. How are you today?
I am great, mate.
Good. So I sent you a text about 10 days ago.
Oh, yes.
And your response to that text was, you do it first and then I'll do it.
And what was the it?
Christmas decorations.
Ah.
So, Christmas tree is up. The lights are up.
Are they?
The Christmas lanterns are out. The talking Santa is out. The climbing Santas are out.
The talking Santa? Can I just back up a second? What does the talking Santa say?
He said, I don't know if I've got a battery in him right now, but he says, remember, the joy of Christmas lies in your heart.
Wow, that sounds like a threat. I would put that robot in a box and put something heavy on top of it if I were you.
Oh, yeah, and then I've got a dancing Christmas tree.
A dancing Christmas tree?
Yeah, you want to?
Yeah.
You want to hear the dancing Christmas tree?
Probably not, but I think I'm going to anyway.
Okay, one sec. Here he is.
I like it so far. It's completely silent.
I know, he's not working. I think my niece took the batteries out. Hang on. No, he's not working.
Right.
He sings Rocking Around the Christmas Tree.
Well, you say that, but there is no evidence that he does that.
Oh, let me see. He does, I promise.
Right.
Yeah, it does. And then also all the window decals are up. The snowflakes, the Christmas trees, again, some singing Santas.
Right. I think you've gone too far.
No.
I mean, have you put absolutely everything up now?
Yeah, I have. And
Right.
I've put the lights on.
Is it a real tree or a fake tree?
No, it's not a real tree.
Not a real tree. Okay.
No,
Because if it was a real tree, it would be drooping in about 2 weeks' time, and it would look like a real sad state by Christmas. So that's a good idea.
No, it's not a real tree.
Right.
It's
But it looks real. The only thing that I haven't put up outside is the Santa Please Stop Here postman. I don't think my neighbours would be very happy with that.
Exactly. Yeah, keep your shame hidden from the rest of the street.
So I've done it. It's your turn now, Nick.
All right, give me a while. Thanks a lot, Seema. Another satisfied customer. 0345 6060 973. It does seem to have come around particularly quickly this year. I mean, I know it. We always say this at this time of year. God, blimey, hasn't it come around quick? But it seems to have been particularly quick this year, doesn't it? And Christmas seems to have arrived in the shops particularly smartly. It's probably the exact same time every year. It's just that in our minds, we think, well, where else are you going to think but in your minds? In our minds, we think that Christmas starts in December, not in November. I mean, it's only just the start of November. But as it's got really, really dark, why not light your life up? Do what the Her Majesty used to do and start them early and take them down late. I think she took hers down about, June, July, something like that. Yeah, keep them up all year long, why not? Rose texts, it might have been nice to have a headmistress who could be described as erudite, or if that's too much to ask, literate, or, OK then, well, at least educated. Give me strength. That drivel was from a headmistress. I think Rose is talking about the Britain's strictest headmistress. Why do all the newspapers insist on calling her that? Like it's her name. Britain's strictest headmistress. She's changed her name by deed poll to Britain's strictest headmistress. And why would anybody revel in that? I don't understand. Why, as a parent, would you send your child to a school that is run by somebody who revels in the title Britain's strictest headmistress? I would prefer to send my child to somewhere that revels in the name Britain's kindest headmistress, or most erudite, or literate. Good idea, Rose. Here is what is no doubt a beautiful story in Chingford. Hello, John.
Oh, hi, Nick. Actually, before I get into my spill, I've got some Mission Impossible news for you at the end of my thread.
Well, you might not get to the end, so give it to us now.
I might not. Well, you'll miss out on the news. But I'm just saying, actually, is it Jonathan, the wokey-cokey man, Jonathan from Harrow?
Yeah.
He had me in stitches last night.
Very funny, yeah. I'm going to put that on my best of. Now, it will be on the podcast of the show, but as cross-promotion, I'm going to put that call on my best of, the Nick Abbot Habit, which comes out on a Monday. It's a half an hour long. Clips of old shows, mostly old shows, but every now and again I put a bang-up-to-date clip, and that, I reckon that's going to go on it.
No, that is brilliant. I mean, he's got funny bones, that man. I mean, he's funny without trying. He just absolutely has me in stitches.
Well, I wonder if he does actually. Yeah, I wonder if he does actually try. I wonder if he is who he says he is. I mean, you know what? I don't really want to know. I'm just happy to have him call every now and again, and brighten the place up.
No, it's wonderful. I call the wokey. I mean, he's very non-PC, but he gets away with it because he's just so funny.
Yeah. Anyway.
But anyway, back to my thread. The ewe that's been trapped on a Scottish cliff for over I reckon 2 years, by the length of her, what do they call it, the wool or what have you. I mean, they're herd animals, and she's the loneliest sheep in the British Isles.
Yes.
And they were talking of rescuing her by hovercraft and even helicopter, all sorts of weird things, but some Highland farmers, sturdy lads that they are, they banded together and actually rescued her on foot.
Yes.
And she's going to spend her days in a farm, like a farm park.
God, I thought you were going to die there. Or at least throw up. It sounded like your dinner was backing up when you were there, Johnny. All right? Yeah.
No, I'm fine. I was trying to think of the word, because a lot of farms do. You know, like they have farm park.
A spa?
A farm park.
Yeah, I was going to get like a massage and a cup of herbal tea.
Yeah. But that's a good one for the review of the year if you're going to do it this year. I hope you are.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Mission Impossible, unfortunately, because of the actors' strike, it won't. The sequel to Dead Reckoning, the last one was Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning.
Yes.
And it was going to be released in 24, which is next year. Because of the strike, it won't be out until 2025, so a longer wait.
Oh, no. Very, very bad news. All right, well, thanks a lot, John. Cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. A stranded sheep dubbed Britain's loneliest has been rescued after nearly 2 years on a remote shore in Scotland. Stupid sheep. Animal welfare... By the way, sheep. A sheep and many sheep. Why not sheeps? Think of another thing that is the same word in the singular as it is in the plural. Animal welfare charities have warned that any operation to save the animal, which has now been named Fiona, will be incredible. Fiona the sheep. That's a rubbish name for a sheep. Fiona? What's she called Fiona for? Not the blessed Fiona out of the Antiques Roadshow. Not her, surely. Doesn't look anything like her. Offensive. Animal welfare charities have warned that any operation to save Fiona, which is would be incredibly complex, as in very, very difficult. However, huge, giant, wobbling butt, a group of farmers took the initiative to save her using old-school methods. Cammy Wilson, a sheep shearer from Ayrshire. Wow. That should be like a roadside sobriety test, shouldn't it? Say sheep shearer from Ayrshire 10 times while standing on one leg and touching your nose. Go ahead, I double dare you. Oh, my God. There should have been some sort of roadside sobriety test for pretty much every other driver on the road last night. God, there was some absolutely off-the-scale, insane people driving last night. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, there was one numpty in particular in a packed Mini who was doing the kind of things that would probably get you killed if you were playing a video game. He was off the scale insane. I mean, screeching to a halt going up the wrong way in a one-way lane. And then blasting through the lights and through a gap that was so near, I swear he must have taken paint off the wing mirrors of the cars on each side down a 20-mile-an-hour road at, I don't know, 1,000 miles an hour, something of that order. And there was police absolutely everywhere, and not one single one of them spotted that. I've got it on dash cam. Is there a number that you can send videos of numpties to that the police can have a gan? Well, it doesn't really matter whether there is or isn't. They're not going to do anything about it, are they? They're busy taking tents from the homeless on instructions from the government. Anyway, this sheep Fiona was rescued. Britain's loneliest sheep. He was rescued by a bunch of farmers using what is described in The Independent as heavy machinery. Heavy.
Yowza.
That kind of machinery. A sheep shearer from Ayrshire organised a rescue mission after seeing media coverage on the ewes plight. Fiona the ewe. 2 of them stayed at the top to operate a winch, while 3 others were lowered 250 metres down a cliff face to reach Fiona, who was found in a cave. In a video posted to Facebook, a farmer said she's in incredible condition. She's about a condition score of 4.5, which is over fat. Or what's it eating? It was a stupid fat Fiona. A condition score of about 4.5. I've got no idea what that means. The farmers would probably... is that 4.5 out of 5 or 4.5 out of 10 or what? Further details are required. A petition calling for a rescue mission had reached more than 52,000 signatures. Wow. Has there been a petition to rescue one of the homeless people living on the streets of London?
No.
52,000 people signed one of those? No, I wouldn't think so. To hell with them. They're not called Fiona. Sheep are herd animals, says this story, and while they can survive alone, they thrive better among others of their kind, according to scientists. Yeah, like people. A spokesman for the Scottish SPCA, the Society for the Prevention of cruelty to animals, or is it the promotion? Maybe it's the promotion of cruelty to animals. They said the Scottish SPCA were in attendance at the hillside after they were made aware of a group of individuals with climbing expertise attempting to rescue Fiona. The team brought the ewe up successfully, and our inspector examined her with both hands. And it achieved a 4.5 on the Richter scale, or something like that. And everybody's delighted. We couldn't be happier. Fiona, back among her own. Isn't that a great story? Oh, you want some bad stories? Oh, all right then.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
A big sack of monkey nuts.
A big sack of monkey nuts is apparently what we are being run by. Leave that big sack of monkey nuts alone. It's doing its best. Christine says this government makes Scrooge seem like a philanthropist. And Joe says you need to watch Matt Hancock being interrogated on SAS Who Dares Wins. It's priceless. Well, I would, Joe, but that would mean essentially inviting Matt Hancock into my house. Even if he's on a screen, I just don't want that to happen. I refuse. I'd maybe go over somebody else's place and watch Matt Hancock being interrogated on SAS Who Dares Wins, because, that's a matter for them. They can invite him into their house if they like, but I do not want that man's image within my walls. I don't want it, and you can't make me. But it does bring to mind one of the more eye-opening things that we heard from the COVID inquiry this week. That former health secretary and current television game show contestant, Matt Bloomin' Hancock, told officials that he, rather than the medical profession, should ultimately decide who should live or die if the NHS was overwhelmed during the pandemic. What, based on their hotness, no doubt. I mean, let's just wallow in that for a bit, shall we? Matt Bloomin' Hancock wanted to choose who would live and who would die, rather than let a medical professional do that. And to think that before this week, I didn't think it possible to detest that man more. Well, I seem to have found a way. The former head of the NHS, Lord Simon Stevens, said in his evidence to the inquiry, fortunately, this horrible dilemma never crystallised. And by horrible dilemma, he probably meant Matt Hancock. Tonight on SAS Who Dares Wins, horrible dilemma. Hancock's position, which materialised during a planning exercise at the Cabinet Office in February 2020, was a different one from his predecessor Jeremy Hunt, who had wanted such decisions to be reserved for clinical staff. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I agree with Jeremy Hunt.
What?
Stevens told the inquiry, Lord Simon Stevens, told the inquiry that this ethical question was never resolved and cropped up again during the pandemic when rationing of NHS services was discussed. Rationing. He said, the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care took the position that if COVID-19 patients overwhelmed the ability of hospitals to look after them, that in that situation, he, Matt Hancock, rather than the medical profession, should ultimately decide who should live and who should die. Wow. I mean, maybe we could put him into some sort of game show, like, the golden shot, for instance, when the target would be those not doing very well on a hospital ward. Up a bit, down a bit, left a bit. Make it fun. On the final day of evidence this week, the inquiry saw new details of Mr. Blobby's, as in Bodger Johnson's,
Wait.
witness statement in which he expressed his frustrations with the NHS, blaming the health service for the first lockdown. Right. The former Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, blamed bed blocking in the NHS for locking down the country as COVID took hold. Hey, earth to Boris Johnson. Can you hear us, Bodge? It was your Conservative Party defunding the care system that created the situation in which patients could not be discharged because there was no one to tend to them on the outside. But, blame everyone else, because that works. God. I don't think I can take this anymore. I need a vacation. Glasgow. Hello, Chrissy.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Great, mate.
In need of a vacation?
Yes.
Why saying vacation instead of holiday? Have you gone all Americanised?
It's actually Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's another line from the Terminator. I need a vacation.
Oh, right. You just didn't say it in the voice. Okay,
no, I didn't.
Sorry,
I missed that, yeah.
Affirmative.
Yeah, screwed that one
Okay. No, it's me. Sorry, I'm a bit thick. I heard Hamburg being mentioned in the news, and my crazy brain immediately went to, I wonder if people from Hamburg are called hamburgers. Do you know?
What's with Hamburg in the news?
It was something to do with Hamburg Airport. I was only half listening, to be honest.
Right, I wasn't listening at all. So you beat me.
Yeah, no, my brain's a bit like that. In fact, you're to blame for some of it.
Oh, what?
You are most definitely to blame because, although I may be a bit suggestible, but in order to kind of calm down from stress and stuff like that, I don't find watching TV or anything to be particularly useful because if you're watching a movie, you can still be looking through the screen and thinking about your wife, yeah? But if you turn on something like the PlayStation, which I'm a 48-year-old woman, I shouldn't have one, but I do. Got a PlayStation, and I will sometimes occasionally play a game like Skyrim, which is a kind of open world thing, if you don't know. It's a kind of... And video games are very immersive. You know, you've no choice but to be part
you're
of
leaning,
it because you're controlling it.
You're leaning forward rather than when you're watching TV, you're leaning back.
Yeah, well, I didn't think of that, but I was thinking more kind of controlling the things on screen, so you have to be concentrating on it. And I played that, I love that game so much, and I played it so often that I actually began to merge it a bit with real life. I'd be driving along and I'd be looking at the side of the road going, oh, there's some tundra cotton, I can make a magic potion out of that. Just gather my thoughts for a minute. No, you're all right, it's not scary.
Keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road, yeah.
Exactly, and now I've started to do it with you. I went for an x-ray yesterday, before I called in last night. I've bust my knee, my left knee.
Oh, yeah.
And my daughter took me for an x-ray, my eldest daughter, and we were sitting in the car, and every kind of 10th word, I was saying something from the show, whether it be mostly or something like that, and she just kept going, Mum, you really need to stop listening to that crap.
You need to turn me off and step away from the radio, Chrissy. I mean it.
Probably. But you were talking about crazy drivers.
Oh, is there actually a number or a website where you can send images of crazy drivers so that the police will come over and crush their car with them in it?
I'm thinking there should be, and I'm thinking there's probably an application form or something you can fill in to be one.
Oh, well then forget it. A form? Oh.
Probably, but car parks are what I don't get, Nick. Car parks, it's a densely packed area with lots of cars and pedestrians roaming about everywhere, and yet you still get people that think it's a racetrack.
Yes.
And that it's the place that they can move their car fastest, and they can, look how fast I can turn the wheel here, and I can reverse here, and you're like, are you nuts? Yeah. When my youngest daughter was born, and she was still just a very tiny baby in a car seat, I'd gone to the supermarket, and I was carefully reversing out of my parking space, and this private hire taxi, raise eyebrows now, no, I don't mean that, that's terrible. A private hire taxi came...
You mean I can let my eyebrows down now?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. And this private hire taxi came belting up the back of me and almost took the back end of my car off. Yeah. And of course I'm sitting there, knowing my baby's in the back, so immediately I have morphed into Godzilla, right, Momzilla. So he stops just further on to let his passenger, a shopper, out. Yeah. Well, I just stopped the car and got out.
Warning.
That's a very, very bad move there, Chris. You don't want to do that.
I shouldn't have done that. I thought I'm going to give him a piece of my mind because I've got plenty of it.
Have you?
And I do.
Plenty to spare, yeah.
Plenty to spare at times. And I went over and I opened a new one for him. And the poor lady in the back, she hadn't even paid him yet, nothing. She was sitting there. By the time I'd finished with this guy, she was just a set of terrified eyeballs behind a handbag. But I ripped him a new one, and
Right.
talking about the baby and stuff, and I just don't know. It's okay, I left him alive, so I don't know what he's complaining about. He's alive. What else does he want?
Exactly.
It's
Well, thank you for doing your civic duty, Chrissy. We appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome. Car parks. Slow down in car parks, people.
Right, exactly
and
right.
Seema, I absolutely... She sounds just a lovely, lovely lady, Seema.
Is that the lady who's put all of her Christmas decorations
Christmas decorate,
right.
But I've got you beat, Seema, because I got my Easter eggs in.
Where did you get Easter eggs from?
Anywhere you like. You can. I don't actually have them in. I'm just being flippant.
Oh, you're being flippant. Right,
You probably
okay.
could. You can actually, if you go on Amazon, buy Easter eggs.
Would not be surprised, yeah. All right, thanks a lot, Chrissy. Cheers for the bad news. Don't get out of the car and have it out with the people who've just taken the back of your motor off. Don't do it. Not now, not ever, never. You can fume behind the wheel, like I did last night. I was just trying to get out of their way, and they were just screaming up to the lights. I mean, what is the point of that? The lights are red, charging up to the lights and screeching to a halt because there was a car in front of him. I thought if there wasn't a car in front of this guy, he would have run the red light. I mean, there's absolutely no way that he was going to stop for something as insignificant as a red light. And as soon as the car in front of him got moving, he was around it, on the right, and then on the left of the car in front of him into a bus lane. Do not encroach into this lane. Not now, not ever, never. One of those lanes. And he was off and away. And I know it's probably not a nice thing to think, but I just really, really, really wanted to pass him by, going at let's say 10 miles an hour, with him up ahead, spinning on the roof of his car. Upside down. I'm not saying on fire, but just upside down. There's no injury to people in the car, but just spinning slowly upside down in the middle of the road. I pay my taxes. Why can't I see that? Nothing. Another one of these numpties who got away with it. And I just find it so depressing, because I think, well, the person that they kill is probably not going to be them. It's going to be somebody else. And, they'll be very sorry. Oh, yeah, I didn't mean it. And that'll be the end of it. Nothing further will happen. But you know me, I don't like to complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
0345 6060 973. The things that I hate in car parks are those speed bumps. Now, they're not speed bumps like you see on the roads. They're those tiny little speed bumps. They're about 6 inches across, but about a foot high. And there's no way of going over them except for dead slow. And even then your car bounces up and down and hits the bottom on these, I don't even call them speed bumps, because they do bring you to a complete halt, unless you're in one of these giant 4x4s they've got about a 2-foot clearance from the ground. Now, my car, I can't go over those things without scraping a hole in the bottom of them. Practically my feet are touching the tarmac now. I've scraped so much off the bottom of my car going over those things. But people behind you, morons who are driving those 4x4s, they are flashing their lights and beeping their horns because they can go over them at 30 mile an hour. It doesn't make no difference to them.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Do you mind if I say a few words? Thank you.
I'm confidently talking away, and I haven't put my microphone up, stupid idiot. Abby texts, does Catherine Burble Singh not have a school to run? She needs to get a life and leave Marks to run their stores. Yeah, that's right. But I think that you misspoke there, Abby. I think you mean Catherine Burble Singh, Britain's strictest head teacher. I don't understand that whole Catherine Burble Singh thing. I don't. I've never seen anybody that looked quite so delighted to have a camera pointing at them. Andy texts, so M&S launch an advert encouraging people not to spend more money than they can afford at Christmas is enough to enrage some deranged woman to write a rambling rant demanding that M&S desist from such common sense. I bet it was her who probably wrote to the Times complaining about the state of the garden at Jeremy Corbyn's house. Oi, Jezza, get your gardener trim. What's that noise? Get your gardener trim, mate. It looks like a day of the Triffids out there. 0345 6060 973. I think that noise was Vic in West Wickham. Hello, Vic.
How are you?
All right, thanks.
Listen, what do you think about the proposed march over the next weekend by certain factions?
What do I think about a march? You're calling for an armistice on Armistice Day?
Yes, sir.
I think I've just given my opinion on that.
Listen, I'm driving around London, as you know, in the cab. And,
I don't know that.
Well, I do, and there's a lot of people getting in that are very disturbed. They're worried, particularly younger people, 20 plus, about coming to London over the next weekends and over Christmas.
Oh, don't worry about that. It'll be fine.
That's what I told them. But it'd be interesting to see what the listener has to say on the matter.
Yeah, but not on this show, though, eh?
Not on this show, no.
Yeah, all right. Thanks a lot, Vic. 0345 6060 973. Alistair Campbell wrote about this. You remember Alistair Campbell, don't you? Yeah, that's him. He said, populism is politics which seeks to exploit rather than solve problems and to turn any issue, trivial or serious, into an exercise in polarisation. He's got, a lot of fancy words with with many, many syllables. He says, we now have a government that seems to be actively agitating for trouble on November the 11th. Well, that's what it looks like to me. He says, that was step one, actively agitating for trouble on November the 11th. Step two is hyping the coincidence of November the 11th being a Saturday, Sunday is Remembrance Day, and of the dangers of a protest taking place near the Cenotaph. Step three is playing a blame game between the police, the mayor and the government. Step four will be getting the media to find a handful of extremists and portray them as representatives of everyone. Correctamundo. He says step five will be claiming more new anti-protest laws are needed. That's right. And step six will be a Tory party to celebrate how well it all went. And on their way home, they can kick in a few tents given out by charities to rough sleepers. Yeah, that sounds about right. He says, we forget just how awful events and scandals, how many awful events and scandals there have been. The normalisation of wretchedness.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
He says, Sunak is every bit as bad as Bradman. He allows it all.
This government...
Exactly. He is completely correct in every respect. 0345 6060 973. Edward says, I understand at the end of Sunak's job interview, Musk told Sunak, don't call us, we'll call you. I think one of the reasons that Nick Clegg mystifyingly got that big job at Facebook. I mean, what does Nick Clegg know about artificial intelligence or social media or anything, in fact? What is his level of expertise? I mean, what does he actually know about Nick Clegg? I mean, all we know about Nick Clegg in this country is he's the bloke that promised to students that they wouldn't have to pay their fees anymore. No! And then said, as soon as he was in a position to make that happen, he said, oh, you know what? Yeah, forget everything I've ever said on the matter. I think one of the reasons that Nick Clegg managed to mystifyingly get that big job in Silicon Valley was that most people on Earth didn't know anything about him. I mean, it was a mystery to us all, wasn't it? It was a bit of like a jaw-dropper when he released the information that he'd got that job. I mean, everybody's reaction that I knew was like, why? Was the letter of acceptance sent to the wrong address? But we know about fishy Sunak, so the amount of baggage he'll be dragging around behind him, well, he won't be able to drag it, will he? He'll have somebody else drag it for him. So I think you're fresh out of luck there, Fishy. Going to have to find something that you're, actually good at. Can't think of anything off the top of my head. Belfast, hello, Brendan.
Hello.
Brendan.
Thanks. Sorry for calling. Thanks for taking my call. Good to hear you again in such fine fell. As you kicked off earlier, you were talking about earworms. I think it was the Rolling Stones album. Well, I can sort of... You're my earworm in many ways. My body clock automatically over the years has been seduced, audibly seduced, and knowing that on Friday and Saturday around 10 o'clock that I should be tuned into LBC to see if you're there.
Right, your body clock. It's like sets an alarm.
Yeah, it's like an infection. But
I'm like a virus.
That's it. But what I was going to say was, when I did tune in tonight, there's so much horror. What you said, like just a few minutes ago, the wretchedness is, But when I tuned in earlier, I thought, right, here's a guy who's really clever, knows his politics inside out, and that's only he doesn't, and is able to say things in a way that other people can't. So let's see what he says about the big story of the world at the moment. And you never mentioned it. And then I thought, hey, whoa, you don't tune in to hear that. You tune in to get away from it.
Exactly. That's what this show and the Friday show is. It's a break from that. I mean, sometimes events happen that it's impossible to ignore, and I go format. But, for 3 hours on a Friday and a Saturday night, can we not just put some of that... I mean, it's not like I talk about nothing that's going on, but I just don't dip the audience in misery.
Well, I have to say, thank you for that, because my visceral reaction at the first 2 minutes of your intro tonight was, oh, no, he's avoiding it, and then I heard the lady talking about her Christmas decorations and the beauty and the innocence of it, and then I heard the girl called Chris, I believe, from Scotland, and for my money, she should be on at the next Fringe next year, because she was succinct, precise, and very, very witty.
And then there was the story about Fiona, the lost sheep. Don't forget about Fiona.
No way. How could anybody forget about Fiona? I was coming to Fiona. You know what I mean? Fiona was you've just stolen my pièce de résistance.
Right.
Which was Fiona. But here, could I just say that this is like déjà vu in many ways for me, and because I'm a radio freak, a politics freak, and a news freak, and sometimes I forget that people aren't like me, and the horror of it.
Brendan, no one is like you. There has never been anybody like you, nor will there be anybody like you. There is nobody like you. The 6 billion people on Earth, no one is remotely like you, and that is a special thing. I want you to revel in that and remember it always. All right. Got to go, Brendan, but thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. James says, I think you have a fan on Match of the Day. The commentator just said a couple of 3 minutes ago during the Manchester City-Bournemouth game. Right. Well, that's me doing a character from The Sopranos.
Absolutely.
That's Paulie Walnuts, that is.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Oh, hello.
I want to tell you all how happy I am to be back in the studio, making a picture again.
It's a radio show, dear. I think I misspoke. It wasn't that phrase, a couple of three, and it's a couple or three. It wasn't Paulie Walnuts. It was from The Sopranos.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't Paulie Walnuts. It was Phil Leotardo. I cannot believe that I can remember these characters' names. I mean, I haven't seen that for years, but I have watched it from start to finish about 5 times now, so I suppose there is a reason why I can remember him. Phil Leotardo, right, pretty much right at the end. He was either the last episode or the last but one. He gets a group of people around, says a couple of 3 things. It just stuck with me. So that's what that is. But apparently somebody has stolen my thing that I stole from The Sopranos, and they're using it on Match of the Day. Can you believe that? Thanks a lot, Gary Lineker. Chris says the 2.5 trillion... Oh, we were talking about money now. Are these all still from last night? Oh, my God. And look at all these from today. I'll never get through these. I am very bad at my job. Chris says the £2.5 trillion, that's how much we are in debt. Trillion. Not million, not billion. Trillion. 2.5 trillion. And when the Tories took over, it was 1 trillion. So they've added another, as much again, and then half as much again on top. £1.5 trillion they've added to the national debt. And Titchy Brain Size put much of that debt on to go up and down with the as does the interest rates, because apparently he doesn't know anything about money, which is really weird, because my understanding was that was the only thing he knew anything about. So we spend about, I think it's something of the order of 10% of all government expenditure is now going on furnishing or paying the interest on our debt. Can you believe that? But anyway, I did ponder yesterday where all that money has gone. Where's it gone? I mean, wouldn't it be nice to know? £1.5 trillion. I've got no idea how many numbers that is. All of them, I think. I mean, if you wrote it down with a pen, you'd run out of ink about halfway through. 2.5 trillion. Where did it go? I mean, the Tories have added £1.5 trillion to the national debt. What did they spend it on? They didn't spend it on the roads, they didn't spend it on the NHS, they didn't spend it on the police or the magistrates' courts, or they didn't spend it on infrastructure, and I've got absolutely no idea. There's 14 zeros in a trillion, so says my glamorous assistant. 14 zeros in a trillion. Coincidentally, there's 14 zeros on the front bench of the government.
This government...
Exactly. Ilford. Hello, Christine.
Hello.
Christine.
Yes, I'm going to volunteer next time to be the next Mayor of London. Have you ever tried to get onto the council about the roads?
No.
They used to clean the drains with a great big cleaner that went right down.
Oh, yeah, suck it all up.
Doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
But
that's not the council, though, is it? That's not the council, though, is it?
Yeah,
the drains?
It's the local council.
I thought it was the water companies.
Well, whoever it is, they're not doing it.
Well, yeah, the water
right?
companies, yeah.
And what they're doing is my whole street has been concreted over with people wanting their cars on right next to their house. Now, if that
hang on a minute, hang on. Your street has been concreted over?
In people's houses, yes.
Oh, you mean their front drive, well, their little grassy knoll
where their
outside?
cars go.
Right, I got it.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to be the next MP here, the next Mayor of London.
Is that right?
They haven't done anything. Every street in England has been concreted in front of their houses.
Yeah.
It's going to flood.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
It's not good for the
Well, where's the economy
environment.
MP then?
Where's the what
Where's
now?
the MP? Why doesn't he look at it?
Who?
Why doesn't the economist look at it?
The economist?
MP for the economy.
The not the economy. What's the word she's looking for? It's not economy. It's God. Now my brain's stuck. It's
economist.
What is it?
Economist.
You mean ecology?
Ecology?
No. It's the one that looks after what we're doing to Britain.
Yep. Oh, I know what they're doing.
Flooding it all over with stupid people.
Yeah, I know
who
what
are on the council.
I know what they're doing to Britain.
Yeah,
it's not pretty.
Do you know how much it is to concrete your front of your house? And
6?
Drop the curb?
Is it 6?
£1,000 to drop the curb.
£1,000?
What?
To drop the curb, just so you can park on what used to be a lovely grassy patch outside your front door.
Or garden, yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's flooded.
Right.
Serve them right.
Serve them right.
Well, perhaps they'll wake up, eh?
Yeah. Hey, wake up. It's later than you think. Quite right, Christine. I want you to keep your eyes peeled at all times. Good work. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. And she slammed the phone down. She was so angry. Fury as road in Ilford gets concreted. I swear, every single story in the Daily Mail these days starts Fury as. I know I've mentioned that several times, but you'll notice it. If you hadn't noticed it previously, you'll notice it now. Just look on the Mail online. Every other story is Fury as. Fury as cat is described as cute. That cat's not cute. That cat should kill itself, says the top-rated comment. Fury as. The intention is to keep you permanently angry. And I would imagine that the reason for that changes from day to day. At the moment, the reason that they want you to be angry at things other than what you've been looking at in the news this week is that they don't want you to concentrate on what an absolute shower this government have been during the course of the most perilous time that we've had since the Second World War, when we were led by Mr. Blobby.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
And the other appalling individuals that did their best to kill the lot of us. They don't want you to concentrate on any of that. All of that stuff about Matt Hancock wanted to decide who lived and who died. I mean, can you imagine what that would have looked like? You, not you, you, going around in like a hooded cloak with a staff pointing at people. That one. God, it doesn't bear thinking about it, does it? Awful. And, Mr. Blobby himself, that catastrophic clown show that used to be running this country, who is yet to give his evidence, but I'll sum it up for you.
This is complete nonsense.
Complete nonsense. That is what he would say. He'll come on angry and annoyed that anybody has the impertinence to ask him any questions. Because he's not that jovial, paw, that fella. That's not who he is. That's the act. That's not who he is. Every single one of them should be in jail, being thrashed on a regular basis. But they won't go to jail, as I keep saying. They will go to the House of Lords. Of course they will. To rule over us in perpetuity. Harrow, Jonathan. Harrow?
Good evening, Nick.
Oh, it's you. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to call you on 2 consecutive days.
So am I.
No, come on, listen to me. I apologise, because I try not to, because you're very popular now.
Yes. What do you mean now?
But I've got a few pressing problems, not to bring the mood down.
Yeah.
My kitchen, it's raining.
Is it?
My kitchen keeps flooding, and the plugs are getting covered in water.
The plugs are getting covered in water.
And this could be, I was thinking it was a one-off, but do you think I should call a man?
No, I think you should turn the taps off.
No, it's from the it's from the rooftop.
Yeah, right, so your plugs are getting covered in water from the rain that's coming through the roof.
The electric plugs, yeah.
Oh, the electric plugs. Oh, well, that's different. What have you done?
Well, I'm struggling financially, so I just rent 1 3-bedroom house.
Yes.
And the landlord, they obviously aren't here until the Monday.
Right.
This is not my main point. I want to talk about the M&S, but I had to say this to get it off my chest. I used to have a man who came to help with thingies.
Help with what now?
The thing is, the fat man who was extorting me.
The fat man that was escorting you?
No, extorting.
Spell it?
Oh, come on. ECTORRTING.
No.
No, it's it. So when the last time I came, because everyone is struggling in this credit climate.
Yes.
He said to me, after I asked him to do things to my bathroom, he said to me, can I put tenants in 2 of your spare rooms?
Right.
So I had to lie to him, and I said that my mother's taken over the property, so I can't bring him back. But anyway, this is causing me tension, because I'm worried I might burn to death.
Right.
But the main point, can I say about the M&S?
Okay.
Because I called you yesterday, and I wasn't able to. I hadn't seen the advert. Oh my God! It is so ultra feminist.
Ultra what now?
It is ultra feminism.
Feminism.
I was trying to get on to the talk show of one of your other presenters who was talking about this, but I couldn't get through.
No, they won't take your call. No.
I actually spoke to one of the evening chaps, and he got very angry because I kept calling him Tom, and he shouted at me and said, "I'm not Tom Swarbrick." It's true.
Who was it? No,
Richard Kerr.
Right.
Yeah, Richard Kirk. But he got angry with me. But
yeah.
The point is,
well, I'm thinking about getting angry with you myself. Carry on.
It's so. Oh my God! I don't want to say wokey again.
Mm-hmm.
But this advert, I'm not a racist.
But.
Well, I'm ethnic minorities. I can say this. There was no white men until the end of the video.
Right, and that was Santa.
And it was all women, like, because I don't have a sexist bone in my body.
But
no, come on. Why is this country now? Why is this country always pushing this narrative of, I'm a strong, independent woman and I can do what I want because it is my boundaries, and it's like the Meghan Markle.
Jonathan, I want you to shout it out. Be proud and loud. You are a strong, independent woman. Say it.
No, I'm a masculine man.
Well.
But it is pushing a narrative, and people are starting to wake up, and that's why, because there is no anti-wokey alternative, that's why you've got people like the Cruella Braithwaite, who is making me sick. That is. It's shocking. True.
Yeah.
No, it is. But the thing is, you can't have every video advert where it's like, oh, look, I'm a woman. I can break the Christmas tree and put it in the flower. I can be an independent. They call it a bad bath girl.
A bad what?
A bad bath girl. B-O-S, like your employer.
Right.
B-O-S girl, bad bath girl, because it's like,
I have no idea. I have no idea what that means. Please don't tell me.
No, it's an American term. It's like and it's making the woman angry. And then also, just to top it all off, I can't go into London for my visa application because the lefties are just marching every day.
You can't go into London for your what?
So I'm trying to get to Philadelphia.
Yes.
But I'm worried if I leave, my house will burn down.
Right. Well, I think the best thing for you to do is to wet the end of your fingers and stick them in a socket and see what happens. Can you try that for me?
I'm not going to do that.
No?
I'm not going to do that. But I stand up for the traditional family and masculine men, not this wokey culture trap.
Cokey, yeah.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, not the wokey cokey. Yeah, I get it.
It's destroying this country, and people are not going to go. They are not going to go to the Sainsbury's. No, who was the advert? They're not going to go. People are waking up. You can't do this. You can't oppress them and try and make all of the men wear little, skirts and things.
Right. Well,
can't do it.
You are the very model of a modern masculine man, Jonathan. You got me convinced.
You got to try and push again. If you get callers who call up and say, "Oh, this advert is fine," you say to them, "No, listen, there are some traditions, and you can't just go say the people who talk about boundaries are the most toxic, like the Meghan Markle. She doesn't talk to her old daddy. She doesn't for no reason."
Yeah. Well, listen, I hope that you manage to get your visa and leave the country as soon as possible. That's
okay,
my
that's
my hope.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
Seriously, dear, I have absolutely no idea. Craig says, how did we end up with an unelected Alan Partridge running the country? I don't know. It must have been... we must have done something really bad to deserve this. I have no idea what it was. Get that last bloke back on the phone. He'll explain it to us. Camden. Hello, Max.
Oh, hi there. Yes, well, I don't want to spend too long on this because it's potentially depressing, but I've kind of learnt myself to just see the funny side of it, and it's the lovely Suella Braverman comment today about how, well, basically being homeless is a life choice. I'm thinking about it myself. I mean, it's
just when you thought they had plumbed the depths, they found further depths that no one has previously seen. Yeah.
Well, and I also can I just make a point that I think mental health is a life choice. I also think that any disability or physical illness is probably a life choice.
Yeah, catching cancer, that's a life choice. Yeah, people just elect to do that.
It's a nuisance, Nick. That's the point. No, seriously. I mean, it's dreadful, absolutely dreadful. And my point is, I don't know quite how to react to it. Are we playing into her attention-seeking goalposts. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that this is that dead cat that that Boris Johnson said that he wanted Dominic Cummings to come up with when COVID was on the front pages all the time. He said, come up with a dead cat, and then people will start talking about that. And so they must wake up in the morning and think, I don't know, what can we do to them today that is going to take their mind off this catastrophic clown... Yeah, exactly. This catastrophic clown show of a government. We will stop them talking about us, and they can start talking about some other unimaginably awful thing that we're proposing to do. Yeah.
I mean, it's just... But anyway, so I hate having a conversation without some kind of conclusion, but in this case, perhaps you can't. But, I mean... It is insane. I think that's possibly the only conclusion I can glean, you know.
No, it's not, though. It's not insane, because it's making people furiously angry about... it's pointing out people that are unfortunate. And if there's one thing a certain element like to do, it's to compare themselves favourably with those less fortunate than themselves and blame those less fortunate for that bad luck.
Well, they have a lot to learn in cosmic terms, but I'm sure it'll all be okay in the end. And, Nick, you're wonderful.
All right, thanks a lot, Max. Suella Braverman has demanded a crackdown on homeless people sleeping in tents, as she claimed that they were living on the streets as a lifestyle choice. The hardline Home Secretary wants to restrict the use of tents that cause a nuisance, and to fine charities who help desperate people camp out on the streets as part of a bill in next week's King's speech. She warned that Britain's cities risk becoming like San Francisco or Los Angeles, where, quotes, weak policies have led to an explosion of crime, drug-taking and squalor. You know what? I can't wait for the King to read this stuff out. I mean, the speech is going to ignore the issues closest to his heart, green issues, you know, because Fishy Sunak is all about the oil now. Want to get a lot more oil. Please all of those donors. So he's going to ignore all of that and row in the opposite direction to that which Prince Charles wants. Protecting the planet, you know, the flora and the fauna. I mean, some of Prince Charles' best friends are flora. And he likes the fauna because it gives him something to shoot at. I mean, what would happen if he just refused to read this stuff out? I mean, I know he has cottages the size of houses, and houses the size of manors, and manors the size of mansions, and estates and halls and palaces and castles the size of, you know, estates and halls and palaces and castles. All of that for him to call home. But even he must balk at the idea of kicking people who have nothing out of a tent. I mean, I bet he makes his displeasure felt in some way when he's reading this stuff out. He might go, you know, waggle his eyebrows a bit, that sort of thing. Charities branded the idea cruelty dressed up as policy, which would only push people further into destitution. Pushing people further into destitution is this government's number one priority.
It's the country's number one priority.
Yeah, it's his priority. He's gripping it. God. You know, we've got another year of this.
Oh, no.
Yeah. A year. I mean, this is as bad as they are a year out. Can you imagine what they can dream up in the next 12 months? God, doesn't bear thinking about, does it? I mean, those people sleeping in shoe shop doorways, they had the opportunity to be born to rich parents, but they decided to be poor. Instead, they only have themselves to blame. Smug.
My view.
Exactly. The Tory 2019 manifesto... You read that, yes?
No.
The Tory 2019 manifesto promised to end the blight of rough sleeping by the end of this Parliament. But the government was warned by experts that it was unlikely to meet this pledge, and they told them that last year. Now, the twisted sister, Suella Braverman, is drawing up plans to deter charities from giving tents to homeless people by making it a civil offence, leading to fines. She's going to fine charities. I'll just let that swill around your brain for a moment. She's going to fine charities if they break this new law. So the homeless will probably die if the winter is a bad one. And if they all die, on the bright side, there won't be anyone rough sleeping anymore. Another promise fulfilled. Problem solved. And you know, the number of people estimated to be sleeping rough in England has risen 74% above where it was when the Tories took power in 2010. 74% under the caring Conservatives since 2010. I mean, the Conservatives took power in 2010 and sleeping rough rose by 74% while they were in power. Could the two perhaps be connected? And Cruella Bradman, that twisted sister, posted on Twitter, "The British people are compassionate." She keeps saying that, doesn't it? The British people are welcoming. The British people are compassionate. Well, why don't you try doing one of those two things then? She says, "We will always support those who are genuinely homeless. But we cannot allow our streets to be taken over by rows of tents occupied by people, many of them from abroad, who are living on the streets as a lifestyle choice." She said there were options for people who don't want to sleep rough, and said that rough sleepers in tents were causing nuisance and distress to the public. Well, you know another thing causing nuisance and distress to the public? I'll tell you.
This government.
Exactly. I mean, look at the polling. We hate you. And the weird thing is that they're stuck in a doom loop. I mean, I bet they can't quite understand it. They must say to themselves, well, we've made a point of being as useless and nasty as possible, and still our numbers are down. I mean, what do these people want from us? And because they think that we are all like they are, they double down and are even more useless and even more nasty in order to turn their fortunes around. Well, how's that going?
Fabulous.
Here's a revolutionary thought. Have you considered actually being nice, Cruella? Have you considered giving the appearance of being a decent human being? Or is that just not a place that you're comfortable going?
No.
Yeah. Matt Downey, the crisis chief executive, says, that's the charity. He's not in charge of crises. He's the crisis chief executive. He said if the government pursues these proposals to criminalise the use of tents, then this is cruelty dressed up as policy. Yeah, like he's telling us something we don't know. Yeah, that's the plan. He says, like the Vagrancy Act, these draconian laws do nothing to tackle rough sleeping. Instead, all they do is push people further into destitution. He says we should not have people sleeping on the streets in the first place, but far too often this is the only option, when they have nowhere else to go. So we'd invite the Home Secretary to answer the question of what should people do? Sleep out in extreme weather and expose themselves to greater risk of violence or abuse, or sleep in a tent? Because this is the life or death reality thousands will be forced to face because consecutive governments have failed to build the truly affordable housing that we need. And government listened to him saying that, and all they heard was, it's just noise to them, does not compute. They're about as compassionate as a fire hydrant. Matt Downey, the chief executive of Crisis, called for a greater investment in housing benefits and public services to help people out of blah, blah, blah. You know, it doesn't really matter. They're not listening. As soon as they heard the word benefits, they were putting their fingers in their ears and humming loudly to themselves. I mean, what could they possibly be thinking for us next? Banning poor people, perhaps? Well, they've never met one. As we know from that time that Titchy Suit Size actually asked a homeless man if he was in business. I mean, talk about detached and deluded. We've created a country where it's illegal to have bad luck. Well done, everybody. Vote Conservative.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Hot H-O-T-A-I-R.
Anthony says, wasn't there a bit in the thick of it about a man protesting in a tent? I don't know. I didn't see the thick of it. I tend not to watch British comedies because, you know, they're not funny. Now, I know there'll probably be a lot of furious people now saying, "Oh, but it was funny," but I didn't see it, so I just tend to not watch British comedies. I like to laugh when I see a comedy, and there's precious few laughs in a British comedy. Message coming in from next door. There was a homeless man in the thick F it. It. I. Yes? Is that it? He started to type another sentence, then gave up. Was a large story line. Yeah, but was it funny? Message coming in. Yes, it was funny. Funny, ha ha. Right, well, I'll put it on my list. Andy says, I never send Christmas cards. I used to think when I was a lot younger that if you sent a Christmas card, you had to buy a present for the person. No. I never send a Christmas card because, I don't know, it just seems a bit... What's the point? You're making contact with people that you would ordinarily not contact. You're just writing a card, I haven't forgotten about you, but then for the rest of the year, you've completely forgotten about them. It just seems a bit phony to me. Pam says, Sunak can't wear a normal-sized tie because it would cover his whole chest. I don't know where he gets those ties, because those are silly, silly ties. I mean, there was a period in the 1980s when people were wearing skinny, skinny ties, and maybe that's where he got them. I would imagine that, because he's worth a few bob, that those suits and the shirts and the tie and all of the rest of it, and his little shoes, are very, very expensive. But they look very, very cheap on him. It must cost an enormous amount of money to look that cheap. It looks like he bought it from Poundland. Kensington. Hello, Mark.
Hi there, hello. Last time this government imparted its wisdom, it caused very recently a General Lord Dannatt, Chief of the British Army, to say sending folks to Rwanda is utterly, unacceptable, along with the Archbishop of Canterbury. And then the King risked his constitutional position. Now, they've gone even lower, and you have servicemen who've not lost lives, but limbs or minds.
Yeah.
And when they shut their eyes, they remember wiping the brain of their best.
Okay.
And now they're homeless.
Yes.
And being told that they mustn't have a tent.
Exactly. I would be a little more impressed by all of those politicians that make a big deal about wearing the poppy on one day of the year if they actually cared for our veterans for the rest of the year.
On TikTok, there was an ex-SAS, Parachute Regiment, and ex-Royal Marines retired. Not very old, but recently retired. And they marched together. They were wearing civvies, but their berets. And they took their medals. They couldn't, like the old days, go up to number 10. So they went to the gate, and they filmed themselves, and they chucked their medals on the ground and said, we don't want them. We reject you. You're beneath contempt. You send people out to war. And when they return,
forget about them. Just sweep them under the carpet and pretend they're not there. Yeah.
Perhaps there's an idea that in the private ballot box, secret ballot box, people are sadistic enough who wouldn't voice support at this stage publicly, but would go and vote for these people.
Yes.
That possibly
something
that it's a gamble, it's a desperation.
I think that the Labour Party are kidding themselves if they think they are actually on 44%. I mean, I'm looking at the poll now, the latest one from the November the 1st. Labour are on 44, which is down 4, by the way, on the previous week. The Tories are on 23, which is down 1. So some people got turned off Labour, presumably because they're doing the left-wing thing of fighting amongst themselves rather than concentrating on the enemy. And the Tories, they haven't picked up those votes. They're down 1 as well. No amount of nastiness seems to make them more popular. I bet they cannot understand it.
The frightening thing is that you had Rwanda, now this. And the question is, what next? Because they're not slowing down in terms of nastiness. The sadism, picking on disabled people now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it goes without saying. The disabled.
I know somebody who's been sectioned under the Mental Health Act so many times, schizophrenic, can't stand a neighbour, and they just cut her benefits and just utterly lied. She holds onto a railing with one hand and a human being with the other walks 6 steps.
Well, being a schizophrenic is a lifestyle choice.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, well, anyway.
I know. You just, it gets to the point where you just think, oh, I just can't stand it anymore. All right, thanks a lot, Mark. 0345 6060 973. But I think the Labour Party are kidding themselves if they think they are actually on 44 and the Tories are on 23. I just don't think it's socially acceptable these days for many people to say out loud in public to a person asking them with a clipboard in their hands who they're going to vote for at the next general election and actually admit that it's going to be the Conservative Party. I think there is a certain unacceptable... it's like socially unacceptable at the moment to a wide number of people. But when they are on their own in the plywood booth, but they can't wait to scribble their cross next to that blue square. Chris says, I never really took too much notice of the Beatles, but I always thought that Lennon was the main talent. This documentary was fascinating and completely altered my opinion of McCartney, who I now think was the major force, really is a talented guy. I think he's talking about that Peter Jackson documentary. It lasted 8 hours in 3 parts called Get Back. I thought that too. You know, growing up, until I saw that documentary, I wasn't really that bothered about the Beatles. I'd never actually bought a Beatles album in my life, apart from when they released the anniversary version of Sgt. Pepper. And I played it maybe once, and then not again. And then I watched that documentary, and my idea about the band completely changed. It really is an extraordinary thing. And if I had to choose a Beatle, I would have said John Lennon, previous to seeing that documentary. But now I do agree with you, Chris, that it just seemed like Paul McCartney was the driving force, and he was the real talent, and John Lennon was the one with Yoko.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And if I had been in that band and he'd dragged his wife in at the time when we were trying to, get together and make some music, I would have been beyond furious. I would have had a Spinal Tap moment, I know it. Chris says, great article about the Stones, the Beatles and Hendrix at the Watford Gap service station in The Guardian. Really? The Stones, the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix were all at the Watford Gap service station? Well, at the same time. I'd like to see that. I'd get over my not distaste exactly, but I just find The Guardian a bit, it's a bit, I don't know how to put it in words really, but I know where I am with the Mail because I disagree with absolutely everything they write. Oh my God, did you see the Mail today? Well, there were some comments about the story that I just gave you about Cruella Braverman. And I think it's educational. Even the people in the Mail hate Cruella Braverman. The best-rated comments, the best-rated one was, why can't the visitors sleep on the streets and the British people stay in hotels? How on earth is this not the default? And which I don't really understand that, other than let's decide to be nasty to people with a funny accent. British people stay in hotels. What hotels? And if there's a person with a funny accent who is your carer or your cleaner or your nurse or GP or doctor or delivery van driver, then you're just fine with that. You don't mind them doing all those jobs. The other ones, I understand where they're coming from. Winston Church Hill says, this is the second best-rated comment on Mail Online to that Cruella Braverman Twisted Sister story. It says, cool. I take it she is going to be providing a proper pathway for these people, and they are people, regardless of how Braverman talks about them, to get their lives back on an even keel. I am thinking proper funding for addiction services and somewhere safe and warm for them to live so they can get a bank account and a job. No, I didn't think so, he says. And the people at the Mail online who are reading that decided to give him a thumbs up or down. They liked that comment more than any other, apart from one. And the next most popular one says, I don't think people are encouraged to sleep rough because tents are available. Maybe she should address the root cause. Yeah. And the next most popular one was, next up, being poor is going to be illegal. Funny thing is, the only penalty they can impose is fines, as there are no beds left in the national prison system, yet the homeless often have no jobs or prospects. That's the Mail. These are the very people she is trying to hook in by putting out this stuff. Failing. It's not working for you, Cruella. So what next? I mean, what's she going to do when being unspeakably nasty doesn't make her more popular? Be nicer? Of course not. I'm joking. 0345 6060 973. And finally, from messages from last night, finally got through them. God, look at the time. Marnie says, with the advent of colder weather, I'm looking forward to spotting little Rish's mittens dangling from their elastic.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Well, the whole world's gone crazy.
Yeah, the whole world has gone crazy. This is the epicentre of crazy right here. Stu says when Theresa May, that's spelt Terrisa, when Theresa May had Crudler's job, she was known for creating the hostile environment. Well, Cruella has gone 50% more efficient by just being hostile. Looks like she will be searching the streets and ripping up homeless people's tents and then stamping on their dogs. That's right. As far as lows go, she makes Dante's Inferno look like a Janet and John book, says Stu. Devon, hello, Rose.
Oh, hello, Nick. Well, I had two things, but the first is very brief, and really you've just covered it amply, but I've just wanted to agree with the wonderful Jonathan about the awful Cruella Braithwaite. But isn't he... it's just the most amazing sort of laugh that you find coming up through you with some of the things he says, you know? It's what he does with the language.
Yeah, that's very good.
It is, isn't it? And he don't mean no harm, you know. He just wants someone to talk to, I think. But anyway, that sounds a bit patronising.
I think I half suspect that he wants somebody to pay attention to his act. But anyway,
I'm not sure it is an act.
Well, I'm in two minds as well, but I'm prepared to be convinced one way or the other. It doesn't matter. It is what it is.
It's lovely. Yes, I know. No, I mean this woman. She is obnoxious, repellent,
yes,
vile, the most appalling creature. I mean, the most vile excuse for a human being, the first water. I can't, you know, I'm not bad with words, Nick, but I find myself speechless. I just wanted to give you a list of adjectives, and I sat here and sort of went blank. She is, and you see, the one word that I do use, and I should not use it because it's very sexist. I can't possibly use. No, I won't. And it's not the one you think. It's not quite as bad as that.
Right.
But you know, it's just. She is vile.
Well, what's amazing to me is that we used to think all of these things about Priti Patel, and we thought, well, it couldn't possibly get any worse than her, but they managed to find a way.
Yes. The other, shall I embark on the other thing, because it's just something I wanted to say about AI.
Yes.
Well, I don't wish to appear unduly cynical, but you know, this waffling about we're all off now to make safeguards against possible dangers.
Yeah, right.
There is no way on God's now ruined earth that they are going to make any safeguards.
No.
What did they do on the internet? Did they prevent children from now being addicted to algorithms that tell them how to kill themselves, looking at executions, looking at sadistic porn?
Well, never mind about all of that. Yeah, never mind. Rose. Hang on a minute. Never mind about all of the nasty things that you've just described. Kids are addicted to social media, and there is nothing good or social about social media. And they're addicted to the point that it's probably the most addictive thing that has ever been invented outside of cigarettes. And they're utterly obsessed with it. They can't go 2 steps without pulling their phone back out of their pocket to check whether they've missed anything. And that is specifically designed that way, these social media sites. It's not by accident. It's not just interesting and amusing to them. They are hooked on it by design.
I know, Nick. Yeah, I absolutely know.
I just knew I wouldn't have time to say all that as well.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And the other thing that they have...
And another thing.
Our corporate rulers is what I'm talking about. The billionaire corporations that rule us.
Yeah.
And neither have they done, through the government, they rule us. And neither have they done all... It's too late now. Anything to stop humanity going to extinction through climate change. So why on earth would anybody think that they'll do anything about these robots?
There's absolutely nothing that they will do at all, because corporations will will have the pound signs in their eyes, and if I wouldn't be surprised if it actually did, as some of them are describing, and do for most jobs, or certainly many. And what people will then do, I mean, Elon Musk said that people will have a high universal wage that will just be paid to sit around while robots scurry about us doing our work. Well, if you think that, then I've got a half-built house on a floodplain I'd like to sell you. We ain't going to get no universal wage, high or low. We're just going to be intense with people like Cruella de Vil, who is blaming us for our own misfortune.
Everything they do is designed to keep the population controlled. They've got those kids that you're talking about on social media totally under their control.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not looking around them at anything. They're just like robots.
Yeah.
They can do anything with those. As they grow up, they're a captive generation.
Yes, here's the thing.
That's the whole idea.
At the moment, we look at our phones, and they are utterly addicted to that, as cumbersome and tactilely unfriendly as phones are. But pretty soon, they haven't given up on this idea. They tried the glasses for a while, and they didn't really work, but they will. They have not given up on that for this reason, that when you look at social media on your phone, you're looking at your phone. With the glasses, you will be looking through Google or Facebook or whatever it is at the world. They will control the thoughts of pretty much every person on the planet. And the people that will be in control are weird. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, those people. I mean, flat out weirdos.
Well, you've got to be to do, to lead the sort of life they've done, to pursue all that stuff. You've got to be really got to have a screw loose, haven't you? You're not really in the world at all to start with.
So that's the thing, is you just wait, because the thoughts and minds of the entire human race will be controlled by about 4 or 5 billionaires. That's our future. And there's absolutely nothing that the government will do about it, because they have so much money that they can just... I mean, what's a politician going to do when he gets a phone call from a social media company who says, well, we've got £1 million a year. Would you, as soon as you step down from being an MP, we'd like to employ you on £1 million a year, just as long as you don't do anything while you're in power to upset our bottom line. Of course they're going to do that.
Well, hopefully I'll be dead before all this comes to pass.
Well, fingers crossed, Rose. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed I'll be dead. Yes, exactly.
All right, thanks a lot, Rose. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, I know that's true. That is 100% true. They're not going to put up an impediment to artificial intelligence any more than they're putting up an impediment to the fossil fuel companies. I mean, they're talking about... I don't have time to get into... Hang on. I haven't got time to get into this before the news, but here's the first line from the Mail. Selfish stunts by Just Stop Oil activists have already cost the taxpayer an estimated £40 million. New analysis today reveals. Well, there's a much worse story underneath that. But they didn't report any of it. I'll get into that in a minute. And plenty else besides. God, the stuff that you see these days is just extraordinary. But there's no hope that politicians are going to control what artificial intelligence or computer or social media sites do. They haven't done so far. They haven't done with the oil companies. They're not going to do any of that because these companies will have a wall of money that they'll be able to throw at politicians in order to sidestep any regulation. I mean, they'll make a fist of pretending that they have got some control, that governments have some control over these companies. But it's all about the money, honey. They're just going to throw money at politicians to make all of those regulations disappear. It's like a magic trick. All you need is money. And it's all short-termism. It's what we'll do for the human race. The oil companies, short-termism. They're not remotely interested in what happens tomorrow because today they just made another £1 million. Or £1 billion. I mean, how much money can they possibly need? But, they're making the calculation that everything will be fine in the short term. They can make all of this money in the short term and they can build a wall of money around them and that will protect them from the incoming wave. Or the fact that the price of food will double or triple and that people won't be able to feed themselves. And hundreds of millions of people will have to go on the move because the crops failed and stuff like that. They'll say, well, you know, I'm a billionaire now. What do I care? That's where we're at. A few people will ruin the long-term future for how many people on the planet now? Is it 8 billion? Something like that. A handful of people will ruin the future for 8 billion people just so that they can enjoy themselves in the short term. And that's where we are. That's the human condition, that is. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
Right, so what we doing?
Given we are doing a radio show, pay attention. 0345 6060 973. Hannah texts the blob, as in...
Yeah. Wait a minute.
He picked his cabinet ministers on the basis of how much they supported his Make Me a Prime Minister Brexit con. And that's who we had running the country during the pandemic. No wonder we have one of the highest mortality rates in the world. Well done, Bodge. I bet you he will fall very ill with some mysterious illness when it's his turn to show up at the COVID inquiry. Yeah, I'd put money on that, yeah. I'd put money on it. Josh says, surely the Trump insurrection and Bodger's handling of the COVID pandemic should stand as a warning to the world of the folly of electing populist leaders. And yet the faithful still prostrate themselves at their feet. Yeah, yeah, it's like a cult. These people have joined a cult. And I can understand why Americans have joined a cult, because they do religion a lot. But we don't really do that. There's more people in this country that don't believe in God than do. And yet, when it comes to Bodger Johnson, there's a significant number of people who actually joined a blooming cult. It's mystifying. Ranjit.
Hi, you're right.
Yes, good, thanks.
Okay. Just a few points, yeah. One serious, one not, and the other one mediocre. Okay, you know, regarding young Jonathan, yeah, you know, when he goes for his visa, yeah, he's going to go into central London.
Yeah.
He's going to go to the American embassy. He needs to be careful because he's rocking the boat. Yeah, with his walkie-talkie stuff, and if he leaves the country, he might not
get back. Yeah,
get back. So be careful. Yeah, Jonathan, listen to my advice. Yeah, take your butler and your chauffeur with you. Okay.
Okay.
Regarding Corella Doberman, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I said to you about 4 weeks ago, I said, look, they're going to go lower and lower, and you agreed with me. And I said, eventually they'll use something like ethnic cleansing or something like that. And you went, no, right?
I don't recall that, but anyway, go on.
Yeah. And then you've had a young gentleman come on earlier talking about the soldiers where they've gone further and further down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you was a kid, your dad taught you, when you have a fight, when the guy's on the floor, you don't kick a man when he's down.
Right.
Yeah. Now, these people that are homeless, yes, they're soldiers or whatever, they are now that they can't defend themselves, all right? This government has tried, with the dinghy people, they couldn't beat them. They've tried to send people to Rwanda, they couldn't do that. They've fought with the baristas, the doctors, the railwaymen. The list goes on and on, right?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so now they think, okay, how can we actually do it, right? And the way they're going to do it is with the homeless, right? And obviously a lot of the homeless probably don't listen to the radio because they can just about make ends meet, right?
Yeah.
Rather than,
they can't.
They can't, can they? They can't plug into a lamppost and listen to the radio.
The defenceless is the government's favourite target.
They are the favourite targets now, right? And they've run out of targets. They've tried to divide and rule everybody, and people have now seen what the clown show is, right? I agree with you that some people might go in the ballot box and still vote Conservative and not tell anybody, right?
That must be in the back of their minds because they think, well, we've only got one direction down. We only have one way to go, and that's low. And yet the people still profess that they don't like us. But it's absolutely mystifying to them. And so they think it through and they think, well, maybe we just haven't been nasty enough.
So anybody that tries to help the homeless may be prosecuted. Now, if you give them a sleeping bag, you're going to get done. Or if you give them a tent, you're going to get done. I would give the homeless some advice there. Go to your local council house, get inside and just claim squatters' right and don't come back out.
Okay,
right?
well, I can't recommend I can't recommend that.
No, you can't recommend. Hang on. They'll be in the warm in a place that's owned by us, yeah? It's owned by us. So if she thinks she's going to go around burning tents and try and get these people out. If I was a policeman, yeah, and she said to me, Ranjit, you're going to have to go and evict that guy out of his tent. I'd get that resignation note and stick it where the sun didn't shine because it's all wrong now. It's about time, yeah?
It is wrong.
No, I'm not angry, right? Because I've had a relative that was homeless, yeah? Okay? He was mixed up and everything, and he passed away, right? And it's horrible because no matter how much you try, when you've got it in your head that the world's against you, no matter how much people try to help you, these people are vulnerable, yeah? They get girls and that get into prostitution, people force them into prostitution or whatever, this, that, and the other. So, Braverman, yeah, if you're listening, you probably do get to hear about, controversial people that talk about you, right? Which the list is going to be.
Yeah, all of this, Ranjit, is going on your permanent record. You understand that, don't you?
I don't really care. I don't. You know what? Seriously, I don't. She should try to be human, right, and forget these politics now, right? I know you said something else, which was quite similar. But the thing is, these people now, they know they're losing, and they are salting the earth, yeah? And they're making it so bad that everybody else, right, hates each other.
Right, exactly right. I mean, it's the only way they can see to winning the next election is if they make people furiously angry about everything other than what they should be concentrating on, which is how this government is failing us.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, Ranjit.
Hang on, one more.
Go on.
Artificial intelligence, yeah? When they say you won't have to work, how are you going to generate a little bit of wealth to it? Your local farmer, right? He tells all the cows and the sheep, you know what? You ain't going to have to work at all in your life. All I'm going to do is feed you, right? I'm going to farm you, and then right at the end, I'm going to chop you up
Yeah.
and make you into doner kebabs.
People,
Is that-
you're eating people like that.
Yeah,
all right. Okay, we're all going to be batteries. I've seen that film, Ranjit, and it doesn't end well. All right, listen, mate, I've got to go, but thanks a lot. 0345 6060 973. Chris says, Suella Bradman saying it's a lifestyle choice is shameful and shows how nasty and out of touch she is. Perhaps she should be building more council houses in her constituency of Fareham. I hope the people of Fareham are disgusted with their MP Suella. I bet they can't wait to vote for her again. Alex says, I think Suella is a random cruelty machine. Whenever she is activated by Big Ear's small trousers, she powers up to confiscate your tent and stand on your dog. Yeah, she crossed a room to stand on a blind person's dog. Can you believe that? He says, also with the music discussion yesterday, I recommend a band called The Who. That is H-U, not the other one. He said, they combine metal with Mongolian throat singing. Your mind will be blown. Well, I'm just making a note not to listen to that. Ahmed says, my neighbour kept knocking and banging on my front door yesterday at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what her problem was, but luckily I was already awake playing my drums. A listener with the material.
Oh, no.
0345 6060 973. Bister. Hello, Phil.
Hello.
Yes, Phil.
Couple of things, right? Yeah. First of all, Rishi Sunak, yeah? You know you're on about his ties, his thin tie.
Yeah.
It's not a tie at all. It's an Indian rope trick. And every time he addresses Mr. Speaker, it comes out of his trousers and rattles in the air. Anyway, that's my material. It's on a serious note.
Terrible material, yes.
Yeah, I know it. You were going to investigate the cost of the barge that we've rented, yeah?
Yeah, I was going to investigate. I know what it costs. I have detailed files.
What is it then?
I think it's £7,000 a day just to moor it, and I think it's £2 billion over 2 years for that one and two that look like it. The cost of which is more than sending people on Royal Caribbean's most expensive cruise liner.
Yeah, well, I did a bit of Googling.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
They can't touch you for it, but to build a cargo ship, you know, a cargo ship, yeah, the figure came out at 10 million,
right,
including maintenance.
Yeah. So we could have built one for the change from the £2 billion that we spent just to rent them. We didn't buy those things; we rented them. That's the rental charge for 2 years, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, but if you'd have built a cargo ship, it'd still be yours.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yes, correctamundo. That is ridiculous.
One more thing.
And another thing.
These tents that Brahma Manmovich, what was she called?
Yes.
Wants to ban. Yeah? How is she going to deal with that? Is she going to send a group round looking like Clockwork Orange to deal with them?
Well, I would not be surprised. At this point, I wouldn't put anything past her. All right, thanks a lot, Phil. 0345 6060 973. Stu says, why are they called a toothbrush? Surely they should be called a teeth brush. Unless, of course, you're a Trump fan and then the name is correct. Oh, I see. Right. So Trump fans only have one tooth. Is that what you mean? Another listener with material.
Oh, shut up!
0345 6060 973. Maurice says, we humans have no problem with eating other animals. This is largely based on the assumption that we are more intelligent than they are. We happily devour cows and pigs and yet flinch at the thought of tucking into an elephant or a dolphin. After all, they're so smart-ish. And as for accidentally treading on an ant, it doesn't keep us up at night. We are millions times smarter than they are, after all. What happens when, not if, the robots become millions of times smarter than us and we appear as no more than ants to them. Will they be kind and loving, just like their creators? Well, let me think about that for a moment.
No.
No, I seriously doubt it. Good point, Maurice.
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Hello, boys.
0345 6060 973. Derek says, can you please tell me what the weather is going to be like in Glasgow next week? Will it be any different to the rest of the country? Well, I have detailed files, Derek. One moment, please. Aha. What? It's not raining at the moment in Glasgow. Well, that doesn't sound right. It will neither be raining tomorrow. You're going to have actual sun. Can you believe that?
No.
Sun in Glasgow tomorrow. Monday it will be raining, of course, and Tuesday more sun. This app's broken. However, on Wednesday it'll be raining, on Thursday and raining, and Friday sunny again. And Saturday raining, and Sunday and raining, and next Monday it'll be raining, on Tuesday it'll be raining, on Wednesday it'll be raining, and Thursday and Friday it will also be raining. So you've got a couple of days in which you might dry out. Best of luck, Derek. Tom says your job is going to be replaced by a Max Headroom type thing, and it will be on a salary of about $4,000 a year. Sorry, says Tom. Worryingly, Tom is also the name of my boss. Is it that, Tom? No, apparently not. Phew. Westminster. Hello, Jem. Jem?
Hello?
Yes, Jem.
Hi, how are you?
I am great, mate. Can you come a little closer to the phone?
You know what? I've been holding for so long, and then I carried on going, but they may not be in the best area. I was going to say that with the week about the COVID, all the failings with COVID, the one thing the government did get right was rough sleepers, because during COVID, rough sleepers were accounted for. There was a task force especially for them, and we, the organisation I work for, Employment for All, has been supported a lot that went on to remain in housing.
Yeah.
And not one of them has said that now they're in a home, they preferred their previous lifestyle choice as a rough sleeper. They're really grateful to me. So the mistake the government made is, rather than, thousands and thousands of people that were housed during COVID have gone on to be in housing and never went back onto the street. They had the health care they needed, they had food, they had a bed, they got used to living well, looking after themselves, trying to get their lives back together.
Yeah.
And then one day they decided to put everyone back out on the streets again.
Right.
And this is where we are now. So it's really... And also, I don't understand, because the prison service is one of the biggest agencies that give people tents when they leave prison. So I don't really understand that. Yeah, people leave prison and are given tents. So
well, we're going to have to build more prisons to house all those prison warders who are going to prison.
Well, you know what? There's a lot. I've had some clients that tell me that they commit a crime in about October.
Yeah.
A crime that they hope. I had one lady that used to put a brick through a prison, a brick through a police station window,
right,
just so she could get about 10 months in prison. So in the winter she would be not on the street.
Yeah.
So
right. I don't doubt that for a second. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think it's very cruel to say it's a lifestyle choice, because it really isn't.
Well, they're trying.
Needed support.
Yeah, they're trying everything they can. It's not personal to the homeless. It's just the latest target that they've dreamt up. It'll be somebody else tomorrow. Don't you worry about that. They're saying this stuff in order to ingratiate themselves with the public, who they hope will vote for them when we have the next general election. And so far, the public not that impressed. Amazing.
No.
All right, thanks a lot, Jem.
Anyway.
Cheers, my dear. Ta-da. 0345 6060 973. Another Tom says, my mum's name is Fiona. She's not too pleased with you mocking her name. Fiona. I don't know why I say it like that, but the only Fiona I know is the Blessed Fiona out of the Antiques Roadshow, which is a programme I like a lot. In fact, it's pretty much the only programme on the BBC that I actually do watch. I'm just trying to think of another one. I can't think of anything. But I do look forward to the Antiques Roadshow. It's like taking a holiday. I love it. 0345 6060 973. Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, Jan.
Yeah, I was ringing to say a couple of things, but I hadn't planned to say this, but when Musk came into the conversation earlier, I thought I suddenly remembered something that I heard that has been pushed into the background, and it never came up while he was. It seems I picked it up as a little
tidbit.
like a tidbit in an article, and it's kind of
An Elon Musk tidbit. Yes.
Yeah, because it's quite sinister in a way.
Uh-oh.
No. I mean, in the way that he got permission, and this hasn't been in the news, and he probably won't. It's gone into the background now. But it was he got permission from some organisation in the States where he could get a chip linked to AI into someone's brain, a human brain, a living person's brain.
Right.
So, he's already started.
Yeah, but with what intention, though? So that you could answer your front door when you weren't there?
No, I mean, it's linked to an AI program, artificial intelligence program.
Right.
So that's a direction that he's going. But that's already started in the medical field. But he's obviously, he's not necessarily interested in the medical field. But I was just thinking about what was being said earlier about, how young people are literally addicted to their things. Maybe people will have chips put in their head.
He and people like him are going to be a small handful of billionaires, or maybe by that time there'll be trillionaires, who are going to control the thoughts of the entire human race. Not directly from a chip, but just by dint of the information that they have you see.
But he can get it directly into the brain.
Yeah.
Which to me is the darker side of it, the sinister side to where they may take it. These billionaires,
You got Elon Musk's chip in the brain, Elon Musk's chip in the membrane.
But I'm coming to. I was ringing to say something about what I found out about what's just been in the news about the results of some research into how the benefits of, which is the opposite of insomnia, because I used to be a bit of an insomniac, and I've got out of that, I think, but sometimes. But there's this new research which has come up with by saying that lack of sleep, loss of sleep, not long term like insomniacs go through, can be very, very beneficial in that it gives. There's this transmitter called dopamine.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an increase in that.
What, when you have a lack of sleep, there's an increase in dopamine? You get dopamine squirting around your brain when you lack sleep? I seriously doubt that.
No, well, they said,
dopamine is the pleasure chemical, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it, yes, pleasure.
Well, there's no pleasure when you lose sleep, Jan.
No, but that's what they're saying. The new research is saying.
Well, I don't care. Who are these new researchers?
Yeah, the neurobiologists in America have found out in their research,
right,
that
there's more pleasure from people who lack sleep. They don't know what they're talking about.
No, wait, the sleep.
Sleep deprived, Sleep deprived people have a lot of dopamine in their brains. They're having pleasure night and day. I seriously doubt that.
No, but they're saying the brain is also getting rewired because there's more neurons are being, more connections are being made. So they're saying
there's nothing good about lacking sleep. There really isn't.
No, they're saying
I don't care what they're saying. I don't know who they are. I am telling you that lack of sleep does not have any good consequences. It just doesn't.
No, but they've found out from their experiments that dopamine is increased.
I don't care what they found. There's nothing good about losing sleep. There really isn't.
Well, I was an insomniac, but I found recently when I had some sleep loss, they say it puts you in it has an antidepressant effect on mood for several days.
Right.
And it can rewire in a few hours the brain. The synapses or the neurotransmitters in the brain through the dopamine increase in it.
Right.
Can rewire parts of the brain. It's just to do with the synapse. You know about that. I mean...
Oh, well, if it's to do with the synapses, then I'm not remotely interested.
No, but it's like if we learn something new, we can increase our brain capacity.
No, my brain is completely full up with the rubbish that I have sucked in up to this point, Jan. There's not a single drawer or room in there that is not already full of rubbish.
No, but that was in the paper.
I don't care what paper it was in or who came up with it. Sleep is excellent, and I want more of it.
But brief sleep loss can be beneficial.
No, I seriously doubt that.
It says staying up all night may give brain a happy bounce. That was the headline for it.
Yeah, only if you're on happy chemicals.
No,
I mean, people who are going and doing the disco dancing, like those people, happiness. Yeah, I understand that. But losing... Jan, stop disagreeing with me.
No,
losing sleep is not a good thing. Talk about insomnia, like insufferable is the word that's occurring to me. Abbot says we already have a form of robotics technology improving our lives. They are the ones to tell us your call is important to us. You are called 550 in the queue. Yeah, those people. Sue says deer is the same singular and plural. Well, like sheep. That's right. There's not many like that. Took a while. Got there in the end. Lee says, what's wrong with taking tents from the homeless? If the country needs tents and the homeless have some, then they should make a contribution. I pay my taxes. They pay their tents. It's British fair play. None of this makes more sense than that. And there's just loads of them. Oh, my God. It's like 14 pages. I'm never going to get through this. I'm very bad at my job. Let's have Sandbach. John.
Oh, hiya. It's very current what she's doing, that Sue Ellen, the Criville, whatever she is.
Yeah.
She wants to bury all that kind of stuff, all that nastiness under the news about what goes on in Gaza and all that. There's that swamp in the news.
Well, they want us to concentrate on something other than the catastrophic clown show during the COVID years. That inquiry that is making people furious, not just with Boris Johnson, but of course all of the people that surround him, some of which have been promoted.
This government...
Like that guy, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these people should be...
in prison. Thrashed on an hourly basis. Yes.
Exactly. Should be locked up and the key thrown away.
Yeah, but so that's a part of what this is. They're thinking, how can we get people to talk about something else? Who haven't we picked on lately? The homeless. Let's pick on the people who have the absolute least. That will make the lefties' brains boil. That's what the thinking behind this is.
Easiest target you can get.
Exactly. I mean, it's phoning it in, essentially, isn't it? I mean, they're not really trying anymore.
No, it's just the what's the target we can pick on today? That's dead easy.
Yeah.
Oh, they're poor.
No thought required. People. Yeah, it'll be the disabled next, unless they have picked on them already. I guess they actually have. Yeah.
Maybe they want to push them off the bridge, or like in that book over the cliff by You Go First.
Book? Well, if it's a book, John, then it's a no from me. I haven't read it. Is it a book? Oh, well, then I haven't read it. Thanks a lot, mate.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Anybody care what this guy thinks?
No!
I should remind you that I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which the delightful Carol McGiffin and I try to solve people's problems. Now, we can't solve your problem unless we know what it is. Send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com, nickandcarol @global.com, and prepare to be totally satisfied.
Oh, right, yeah.
If you have an hour and you wish to be amused, then I think it would be right up your alley. It is. People tell me it's quite addictive, and I know that it's the hour in the week that I laugh the most. We just set each other off. It's funny stuff. Comes out on a Monday. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol?
Yeah.
Let me see now. Rochester, Tony.
Oh, hello.
Tony.
Oh, can you hear me? Oh, God, I'm having, literally had a call yesterday from Rochester. We have to sit out the window, honestly. I want to talk to you about Rishi Sunak's discussion with Elon Musk.
Yes.
Do you not think it was cringe?
I think everything that Rishi Sunak does is cringe, as the kids say.
No, but James O'Brien was great at saying this because I always hear him, and it's the way that he replayed it. And it was like, concentrate a bit on Rishi Sunak and it's like how you fancy someone. And the way he laughed, and it's like, he's about jobs, and Elon Musk is telling him about, we might lose all the jobs, and he's laughing.
Mm.
Do you not agree?
Yeah, well, Rishi Sunak is thinking, well, not my job, because that's what he was sitting there doing, hankering after a job with under Elon Musk, just like Nick Clegg got a job under Mark Zuckerberg. How he managed to do that, nobody really knows. And so that's what Rishi Sunak wants. He wants to be a big deal, because he lives in LA, doesn't he? I mean, he's got a place over there in California, where his real house is. Never mind about that charmless garret that he's got up in his constituency. No, his real place is out in LA, with the sea view and all of that stuff. So he wants a little job that he doesn't really have to do very much work for, show up, like once a week, something like that, and that pays £5-10 million. Something like that. That's probably what he has in mind when we all fire him at the next general election, assuming that we're allowed to have another general election, Tony.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I hope so. And also, can I just say one thing about you're going through best calls? I think it's. I have to say this, but you had a great call. I don't know what year it was, but it was someone called Claire, and it was like ping pong. You had a ping pong patronisation, and I thought it's brilliant. So you have to include that.
Well, I think you'll have to be a bit more specific than that, Tony. You don't know what year it was. Well, that would be a good place to start. But thanks for the suggestion. 0345 6060 973. Rachel says, why were the COVID Nightingale hospitals dismantled? They could have been used to accommodate the homeless over winter. Yeah, that's right. I mean, they had beds. We spent thousands of pounds on those beds, which were apparently unsuitable, but they were beds that we then flogged off to, I've got absolutely no idea, for threepence halfpenny. Yeah, exactly. They had the buildings, which were heated, of course, and they had the beds. I mean, what more do you blooming well want? They had the shower facilities, no doubt, cleaning and, all the rest of it. They decided to dismantle that because, that it might have been considerate and kind of them. So that's right out. Ollie says, this is all in capitals with lots of exclamation marks. I mean, he's absolutely furious. He's yelling at me. He says the government didn't defund the care system, they defunded local councils. So it's local councils that defunded the care system, and our Boris is innocent. And I bet you bullied that woman whose dad invented walking around the garden, even though she wants to give every old person a swimming pool. Typical MSM misinformation, says Ollie. Good one, Ollie. And Sam says, I agree with what you said about people signing a petition for Fiona the goat, but don't sign one for the homeless people. I'd like to add, why don't thousands sign a petition to save the NHS or force an election? Yeah, that mystifies me as well. Maybe it's that people who read that stuff on Twitter, somebody will start on Twitter. I've just started a petition online, the number 10 petition site. I don't know what the point... Well, the point is that the government is kidding on that that what we have here is some sort of representative democracy, but it isn't. And they pretend that it is, so that if you get more than, 50,000 people signing your petition, then they will think about talking about it in Parliament. That's as far as they'll go. They'll think about talking about it in Parliament. It's not if you pass a certain number of signatures, then you get what you want. No. It's they think about talking about it in Parliament. That's as much as they'll promise. But even that, I've seen many of those petitions. It says, we want a general election now. And you look how many it is, and it'll be like 10,000 people who bother to sign it. I mean, come on, people. Wake up. It's later than you think. Let's have East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Morning, Nick. Yeah. Prompted to ring because you were talking about the oil companies earlier on.
Oh, yeah.
Just to bring you up to date. I mean, guess what happened today? An oil field has been approved planning by the government in Lincolnshire.
Great.
Everyone had turned it down. The local council, Lincolnshire County Council, Natural England, Historic England, everyone said no. Council Inspectorate today said yes. National need for oil is in the public interest, despite it having an adverse impact on the landscape and scenic beauty of an area of outstanding national beauty. Yeah, go on, drill.
Amazing.
It's horrific, but when you look at a bigger picture on this, the other thing is they turned down wind farms in the same area.
Yeah, right. Of course they did.
Okay, but think about it. The Tory party, loads of donors in development, construction, house building, and they struggle to get their planning through. They're always complaining they can't get planning for stuff. Oil companies click the fingers, and so it goes.
Well, that's where the money is.
Yeah, I guess so. They're saying that they can make $3 billion out of this oil well that they're going to.
It didn't make the slightest bit of difference. We won't see any of it because any oil that comes out of the ground is going to be sold on the open market at the price that the open market sets. So what the government are doing is they're lying to us that if we find oil here, it will be cheap and we will be able to keep it. But the people who are doing the digging, they're not even British, for crying out loud. They'll be American, or they'll be Norwegian, or probably the Chinese.
Yeah, it's the way they can overrule stuff, though. I mean, in East Yorkshire, there was one overruled last year, so there's an oil well. They're applying for 4 more in East Yorkshire, and I bet they all go through as well.
Yeah, of course. It's like, this country is like a car. I've said this many times. The car is now up on bricks because the Tories are stripping it for parts. And just so that nobody can come along later and put it back together again and start it, they've taken all of the engine and the brakes and all of the rest of it, and just to make absolutely sure, they're pouring sand in the fuel tank. That's where we are with this country. It's like it's like a scorched earth policy, and why we're putting up with it, I don't know. All right, thanks a lot, Mike. Now I'm really annoyed. But, the Just Stop Oil people, they'll probably have one of their stunts, as the Mail calls it, selfish stunts by Just Stop Oil activists have already cost the taxpayer £40 million.
What?
£40 million. New analysis today reveals, says the Mail. Hundreds of the eco-zealots were arrested in London this week as Just Stop Oil ramped up their ordum action, and dozens have since been charged. They need a damn good thrashing. Now, wash them first, get that crust off them, and then thrash them. Analysis shows how much the group has estimated to have cost the hard-up taxpayer since they formed in February last year. Policing Just Stop Oil's stunts and marches has cost at least £20 million alone, including around £15 million for the Metropolitan Police as part of their policing in the last couple of years. Wow, that really is a lot of money, isn't it? What with us being the hard-up taxpayer and all. In other news, do you know how much the fossil fuel industry gets in subsidies from the world's hard-up taxpayers? Go on, have a guess. Just pick a number and double it. Go on. No, it's £7 trillion a year. What? 7 trillion, well, not pounds, dollars. $7 trillion a year the fossil fuel industry gets in subsidies. A year. 7 trillion. $7 trillion a year in subsidies, despite it being the main cause of climate change, which, of course, does not exist according to the public pronouncements of the very same industry that's causing it. That works out at £10 million a minute of every hour, of every day, of every year. It's 7% of the entire GDP of the whole planet. Double what the world spends on education, which, if we spent more on, the people might actually get to understand what's going on. And to put it in perspective, In Britain, our government has given £20 billion more in support to fossil fuel producers than those of renewables like wind since 2015. And that's gone up recently, just as the news is full of the weather, even before it gets to the actual weather forecast. Fossil fuel companies were given £80 billion of the hard-up taxpayers' money in the last 8 years. 80 billion. And it's up 10% in 2021 compared to the previous year. You know, but that's not to beat the fossil fuel companies up over this. I mean, they've been having a hard time of it lately, what with BP only making £23 billion in profit last year, and Shell having to scrape by on just £32 billion in clear profit. So they really do need all of that money that we hard-up taxpayers can afford to give them. I mean, their executives are practically sleeping in tents. But let's concentrate on the eco-zealots, shall we, who are costing us 1/1,000th of the money that the oil companies are getting from us. I mean, do you ever feel like you've been had?
Yes.
Yeah. More than 2,500 eco-zealots have been arrested while taking part in action, and dozens have been jailed and many more taken to court. It's estimated this has cost £10 million when court time, prison officer time, judges, lawyers and court staff time is taken into account. And some have been granted legal aid. No! That's just part of their plan, their wicked scheme to bring the court system to its knees, says the government. And many activists have trials coming up as far away as 2025, lengthening the ongoing process further. Well, you could say the same for rape victims. Are they part of the plan to bring the system to its knees? I mean, the truth is the Conservative government have brought the court system to its knees. They first brought the police service to its knees. They let go 20,000 experienced officers and 22,000 backroom staff. They closed half the police stations, half the magistrates' courts, with the result that crime went through the roof and the backlog in the courts goes round the block via the moon. It's part of the Tories' plan to stop spending on the things that millionaires don't need. They can afford their own security. They don't need the police, or at least they've convinced themselves they don't. And all this is being blamed on the people who are expressing the feelings of the majority, who do think that climate change is real, and do think that we are responsible for it, and do think that fossil fuels are making it worse. And that cost of policing Just Stop Oil, 20 million quid. Compare that to the £1 billion that the damage caused by storms Ciara, Dennis and George in February 2020 and storms Dudley, Eunice and Franklin in 2022. £1 billion it cost Britain's insurance industry. And that doesn't even include the storms that we've just had. That's the reason your home insurance has gone through the roof. That isn't there anymore because a 90-mile-an-hour wind blew it off. But by all means, shoot the messenger, because that always works.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Yeah! Dude!
That's the wrong one. I normally do.
Come on, we're running late!
At this time of the night, 0345 6060 973. I was reading through all the texts and messages. There's just too many of them. Can you pick the best one? Are you in there?
One single text.
Well, all right, the best two or three. Just like whittle it down.
Yep,
Give us the best ones. I'm busy here doing a show. Swindon, hello, Carrie.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, all right. I didn't expect you to talk to me. I thought it was getting to be late.
Hello, Carrie.
Listen, I thought what in actual fact should happen is there should be, for anybody who is homeless, there should be tents, good sleeping bags that they are provided with, and safe places where they can put their tents up.
Yeah, like a house.
In security. No, like a park, which is out of the way of the public.
Not outside. If they can build those Nightingale hospitals in about 3 seconds flat, then they can put one of those things back up. Because, I mean, we've still got all of that stuff. I don't know where they keep it. But, it folds down to about the size of a matchbox. And they can put one of those back up and put all of the homeless people in there.
Yeah, that is even more amazing, though. But that is something
amazing.
that I can't believe that is the first place tonight that idea has come.
Yeah.
Someone should have thought of that a long time ago.
I know. Well, yeah, exactly right. Somebody should have asked me. I'd have told them.
Yeah. Well, what are we going to do?
I don't know. We'll sit here twiddling our thumbs until we get to vote in the next general election. And then I would imagine that 60% of the people that can vote won't be bothered. And I think that those who believe that the Labour Party is going to soar into number 10 on a wind and a wave are going to be seriously disappointed. Anyway, thanks a lot, Carrie. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Brian says, Sunak's attire suggests he's a secret fan of Reservoir Dogs. I'm reluctant to give him a colour. Mr. Beige. Mr. Beige, perhaps. Maybe Harvey Keitel will contribute to his downfall. Yeah. Let's go to work. Exactly. What's this?
Best text at the top of the page.
Oh, best text at the top of the page. Can't wait to read these. All the way to the top? All right. Best text to come. Isn't it exciting?
No.
Let's have Chelmsford. Hello, Nicky.
Hello.
Hey, Nicky, you're so fine. You blow my mind, Nicky.
Thanks, mate. I'm really passionate about this. It's the field I work in. And what the Will of Brosnan said today has absolutely shocked me. I know people that are street homeless. I work with people that are street homeless. I've been homeless myself. I've been in addiction issues. I've lived it. I've got lived experience. I've come through the other side, and I now help people that were in my situation.
Right.
And I just say that she wants to take those little igloos. They're not even tents. They're little igloos.
Yeah.
And they're provided by charity. And for her to say she wants to take them away and the police dismantle them.
Yeah. And find the charities that are giving them tents.
Exactly. I mean, I'm one of the charities I know and I've worked with provides these little igloos. It's just to provide shelter for people and keep them out of the elements.
Right.
And they literally pitch up out the back of B&M and Aldi in the car park at night. So they've got some shelter. They go down to a place called Sanctuary, which is where they get their food from the next day.
Yeah.
For her to say she wants to take that away, the little bit of comfort they have.
And she's doing it, and not to solve a problem, she's doing it in order to ingratiate herself with the voting public. Because
totally. That's what I said.
she thinks that is going to get her votes. And she keeps being unpleasant and nasty and despicable, and her ratings continue to go down. I bet she can't understand it.
Nick, I said this to my mum earlier. I was texting my mum about this. I said, all she's doing is playing to her base.
Yeah.
This is the hard right that the, dirty scum, homeless people. No one
blaming
chooses,
people for their own misfortune. Correct. Yes.
No one chooses to be. As I said, I've worked in this field. I've lived it as well. You do get a hardcore. You get a hardcore of people that can't ingratiate with society, and they prefer. They integrate. Yeah, they prefer living on the street. They do. But I would say that probably, in my experience, is about 10% of people.
Yeah.
90% of people that I've come across, that I've worked with, and I've lived with, want security. They want a roof over their head. They want food on their table.
Exactly.
They want a normal life.
Just like any human being, precisely. Yeah.
Exactly. Basic human rights. And she wants to take that away. A little igloo.
Yeah.
A little igloo that provides them shelter.
I know.
It's
as though that is going to solve the problem. But I mean, somebody has texted in. I can't find it at the moment. It's here it is. Bill says they promised to get rid of rough sleeping. They just forgot to say how. Yeah, I mean, it's not funny, but it's, what else have you got? Laughing in the face of adversity. Nikki, thanks for that. All right, here are the best texts as selected by my glamorous assistant. Don't blame me. Al texts, look at the Neuralink company owned by Elon Musk. It's developing implantable brain-computer interfaces.
Affirmative.
It can even control your musical taste to the degree that you think the new Stones album is actually good.
What?
Oh, get lost, Al. It's not good, it's great. Mike texts, do you think that Braverman could use Boris's German water cannons to sweep the homeless away? Yeah, the Waffen Squirter 9000s. Power it up. And finally, Jim says, I see the Stones are number 3 on the Billboard 200 album chart and the Beatles have released a new single. Just how far did the clocks go back last week? Yeah, that is a good point, yeah. Time's up. 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 Time.